If you're setting up Claude Code locally on your own machine, it serves to have good file hygiene. And what I mean by that is there's a particular structure that Claude needs in order to function efficiently on your machine. Now, if you're working in the browser, Claude.ai, and that's going okay for you, well then fire it away. If you've got the Claude desktop app installed and you're using CoWork and all of that, and that's working okay for you, well then great, keep doing it. However, if you really want to get the power from Claude Code, you need to install it locally on your machine and do away with the app, do away with the browser. And when you do that, in this case via VS Code, you get the full scope and power of Claude Code in a more uniform, efficient manner. And I want to show you what that looks like now. So let's do this. What you're looking at here is my Claude Code operational in VS Code on my local machine. I call it my AI Business OS. And let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see it a bit clearer. I'm going to just close a couple of windows here for myself. And once you have it set up, I'm not going to get into the setup today, but suffice it to say that here on the left hand side is the file structure that I work to. Now, I should say also that this needs to be kept orderly on a regular basis, otherwise it can get out of control. And what I mean by that is decide what your folders are. These incidentally are all on my local machine. VS Code is just looking at them. It's showing them here inside VS Code. And I have a couple of main folders here, Claude projects. There's a load of them in here. I need to clear some of this stuff out. Incidentally, some of it is dead. In here I have clients. In here I have some resources from GitHub that I might use, some things that I find interesting or that I might use in the future. This is just a repository, or not a repository, but a location where I save my MCPs or details about my MCPs, and there's some scripts in here as well. Developer and Google Drive, I'll talk about them another time. The real thing I'm going to talk about on Friday, or the topic for discussion, is the .claude folder in here. Everything that Claude looks for when it launches in VS Code is located here. So let's first look at the .claude folder. Now, I don't want to view it that way. I want to view it like this. So this is my general setup. I have my files on the left. I have Claude Code operational here in the middle. And I have my file open on the right. Now, if viewing files, the markdown files as they are, is a little bit kind of weird for you, you can right click on it here and open preview. So anything that you open in Markdown is visible in a kind of a Word document format here on the right. So on Friday, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Claude.md file. This is basically the rules, the primary file that Claude Code looks for when it launches. Another major important file is the memory file. This is quite thin at the minute for me, but Claude works this on its own. I don't need to necessarily be involved. It just remembers, so to speak, key ways that I work, and it saves them here. For example, it remembered recently that launching background agents always proactively check their output and report results back to the user once complete. Don't wait for the user to ask for an update, And the reason why that's in there is because on several occasions I've run parallel agents, or I've asked Claude Code to do so, and it just sat there without actually feeding me the information that the parallel agents had processed and the results that they discovered. So I added that. So memory is an important folder. The framework is something I created myself. This outlines structural guidelines for organizing the workspace and its components and how they all relate. Claude Code doesn't look for this immediately, but in the Claude.md, I do have it selected down here somewhere. Here we go, framework.md. So Claude knows that this exists and how to structure files and so forth. I find this valuable for me. Incidentally, you'll also know that the Claude MD file is under 200 lines, which again helps because you don't want your Claude MD becoming bloated. We'll talk about that on Friday as well. So that's the Claude MD, that's the framework, and that's memory. I'll also talk about agents. I'll talk about commands. I'll talk about documents. I'll talk about rules, and I'll talk about skills. I'll also talk about this state folder here, which is not necessarily something you need, but for my particular installation, my AI business OS is required. Talk about this Claude.json file, settings.json to a lesser extent. We'll talk about these. And that's file structure. Really important that your .claude folder is organized well so that Claude Code operates efficiently in your AI business OS. And we'll get into more about that on Friday. Where's my video screen gone? Here we are, back again. All right. So this is a follow-on from last week's AI workshop, generative AI workshop, where I was talking about memory specifically and how memory works. Memory, as if Claude Code remembers anything. It doesn't really. And I might touch on that a little bit more this week. So that's what I'm doing. If that interests you, hit the link below to register for the free generative AI workshop. It's more or less focused on Claude Code. And if you're looking to get the best out of your system, not necessarily for coding, but for running business operations, well then register for the workshop and I might see you there. Each workshop is recorded and all the files and folders and structures and so on that I talk about, including the slides, are available afterwards in the link below. Okay, thanks for watching and I might see you Friday. Mind yourselves.